We kick off this episode of reDefine with Kevin Kubota announcing the end of an era. Ranked as one of the top 10 wedding photographers in the world by American Photo magazine, Kevin explains why he's leaving weddings and what he's planning to do next. We caught up with him at the Mirage in Las Vegas, and I asked him how he went from editing photographs in his garage to being the CEO of Kubota Photo Design, pretty much by the seat of his pants. And you think you might want to speak at a photography convention someday? Listen in as Kevin recounts his first big presentation and how it ended with him passing out and hitting the floor. True story.
You're watching reDefine with Tamara Lackey, presented by Adorama TV.
Before we get into the interview, though, the incredibly useful segment. How did I not know about this? Heard of Google? Gmail, Google Calendar, Google Docs, Google Search, GChat, Google this, Google that. There's so many Google apps now that they all get lost in the shuffle. One you don't want to miss out on, though, is Google Voice. Forget having to wrangle like 3 phones and all your voicemails, and hopefully you're not wearing a beeper anymore, but if you are, you can combine them all and never miss the important calls or beeps again. And you can set all kinds of great features like the time of day you want calls to ring through to certain phones. You can prioritize your contacts. You can either listen to your voicemails or get them text messaged to you, and that's all for free in the US. International calls are super cheap too, like a dime a minute. Check out Google Voice online and get in the loop.
I've been doing weddings for 20 years, something like that. Weddings,
How many weddings have you shot? Guess.
Jeez. I used to do 40 to 45 a year for 18 years.
Oh, but Jesus.
So I can't do the math on that.
Yeah, it's like more than 10.
More than 10.
Okay.
So, you know, I mean, there's a lot of photographers doing a lot, but I haven't officially announced, but I retired from shooting weddings.
Oh, congratulations.
So you're the first to hear it, and the rest of the world here.
Wow.
And it really, you know, it sort of came from a culmination of a lot of different things happening and my ability to be shooting the projects and realizing the value of what I was personally doing.
Like what?
I am focusing on lighting notebook, which is all about the various things. Actually, I'm kind of going back to what I used to do, which is a lot more commercial photography and fashion, and bringing all those things that I used to love to do and kind of finding new ways to do that again and reinventing myself.
Why?
And reinventing
Why?
all that. Because I miss it.
What do you miss?
I miss being able to guide my own projects, to pick what I want to do rather than shooting weddings and things for other people.
So for weddings, it feels more like you get the directive, and here you have creative control.
Yeah, and also one of the things that I really want to work on now is doing photography jobs for charity rather than for pay.
So tell us about the charity event that you have every year with families.
Family Photos in the Park?
Yes.
Yeah, that's awesome. We've been doing it for 10 years. It's coming on our 11th year. And it's basically set up to do portraits for families who couldn't afford it. And we set it up in the park, and I gathered photographers in the neighborhood that would help out. And we basically, one Sunday afternoon, we shoot a couple hundred families and give them all Christmas portraits.
That's wonderful. Just photograph them in different parts of the park, or you have something
we'll
set
set up
up?
stations. Like each photographer just stakes out, I'm going to work there, and they set up their whatever they're going to do, lights, reflectors.
And
really
what
cool.
what is your motivation for that? Other than, I mean, obviously you want to give, but what is the thing that compels you to keep doing it? Because it sounds like it's getting bigger and bigger.
The thing that compels me to keep doing it really is just the feedback from the families. You know, when people come in, they have families with 5 or 10 kids sometimes they're adopted. Like one of my favorite families that comes in is this elder couple, and they have, I think, 11 adopted kids, all of them with disabilities.
Wow.
And they come in every year, and the first time they came in, they were like, we've never had a family portrait, we could never afford a family portrait, and we look forward to this event every year.
Yeah.
And they come back every year, and they always will, you know, they'll stand and wait for me to take their picture instead of
I
going to the
love
other
that.
photographers. And you know, I have so many little stories about people. In fact, one of the last event we shot, there was a little girl, and she has this really, really rare, I think it's like 1 in 50 in the whole world disease, where she doesn't have Down syndrome, but she can't talk. So it seems like she does, because she'll just get really frustrated.
Right.
And so her mom brought her, and they sat there, and I got out my camera, you know, big long lens here, and I'm trying to take pictures, and she's just hiding into her mom's chest. And so I finally just realized this is probably very scary for her, you know. So I just put the camera down and walked over to her and started talking to her, and she turns around and she leans over and she just gives me a hug, and she just sat there hugging me for like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't let go of her. And then it just was like this light bulb in my head that I was letting my camera get in the way of being a good photographer.
Yeah.
And then the ironic thing was that I saved, somebody took a picture of her hugging me and gave that to me. And so I say that's on my office wall, taped up on my wall, because it just was such a great moment for me.
Like you can't pay for that feeling. Like you can't pay for
Right,
that.
you can't. Appreciate
You
it.
are involved in like a million lines of business. Tell us all the things that you do.
Kubota Photography.
Okay, you're Kubota Photography, you're a photographer.
Then there's a Suka book, which
Suka book.
is the coffee table style printed books
Yes.
for photographers,
Yes.
product photographers. Red Boot Design, Kubota Image Tools,
Kubota Image
software,
Tools, yep.
workshops, training. So I'm going to send images into a magazine, and I was like freaked out, you know. So you got the 5 images, went online, filled out the form, you know, hit send, and then like, they're never going to contact me. And I thought nothing's going to happen, you know. So I just put it out of my mind, blocked it, and
Right.
like 2 days later, the editor emails me back, said, "Oh, we got your submission, we loved it. We want to put you on the cover of our next magazine."
Wow, what magazine?
That was Studio Photography and Design, which is
Oh yeah, that's a big one.
it's now defunct, but it was
That's
that
a
was
great
the
one. I read it
magazine.
every night.
Yeah, it's been out of print for a couple of years here, but and then a few more days later, he calls back and says, "Oh, by the way, we noticed you're using the Nikon D1, which is the brand new, you know, at that time digital camera, and there's not many people using that to shoot weddings like you are, and I'm going to introduce you to some people at Nikon." And so they did, and Nikon said, "Hey, we love your stuff, and we're excited about using this camera. Can we feature you on our website? Can we
Whoa.
put you in some ads?" And
That
then-
happened right that fast?
Yeah, all within, you know, about a few weeks of me submitting all those images.
Yeah.
Um,
And you're all like, oh good, because I'm good at this. I just figured that out.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know what to do. And then the thing was, and they said, "Can you speak for us at WPPI?" And like, if you think about it, yeah, I'll do that.
Yep. How many
I
people were
think-
coming to WPI at that time?
It was probably in the 6,000-7,000 range, maybe,
Okay.
or something.
And that was your
in-
first big speaking engagement?
That was about 10 years ago.
Okay. How did you do?
I did really good, I think.
Yeah.
I had
asked you back a few
pneumonia and I
times.
passed out
Oh,
after the program, fortunately.
you passed out?
I did. I was sick as a dog, and I would just pop in the drugs to keep myself alive to do the program.
Acting fine.
Acting fine. Went on the
Yeah.
thing, you know, you're up by adrenaline, you're going,
Yep.
you're going. And since the program was over, I, you know, said my adieus to everybody and walked out, and walking down the hallway, and I just, boom, blacked out. Next thing I wake up, and there's Joe Busink fanning my face. Kev, are you all right? And I'm like, what happened? And he's like, you blacked out. Like, I have no idea what happened. So it was like,
Is that something you normally do, or is that just a crazy one?
no, it was only that and this one time at a nightclub, but we can't talk about that.
Top 3 pieces of advice you'd give to anybody who wants to start where you started with ideas and passion and excitement and wants to build something. What are 3 guidelines you'd offer them?
I think, well, the first one's kind of obvious, is stay true to what you really love to do.
And that means that what you're doing.
What you're doing, you know,
Yeah.
and not getting sidetracked into the management and this and that, and learn to find people who are good at that and bring them on to help you, and don't try to do that stuff. So staying true to that. And then I think what I didn't do was I never had a kneecap. I never had a long-term, here's where I want to be. You know, like I didn't ever visualize.
Like a strategic plan.
Yeah, I just kind of went along with, hey, this is working, this is fun, this
Yeah.
is good, this is great. I love working with people. I'll hire them, boom, boom, and it's like, then all of a sudden you're like, wait a minute, you know?
And what's the 3rd? Did you get to the 3rd? I think you said get other people to do other things you want, stay true to who you are, make a plan.
Make a plan, and remembering your family, which is also yourself.
Yeah.
And I've neglected myself. I don't think I've neglected my family. I feel very fortunate that I've been able to spend a lot of time with my family and my kids and watch them do things. But I've neglected personal things that I love to do. You know, to be able to work. Just started taking karate.
I know, I've seen pictures
Have
of
you
you and
seen
your
my funny
son,
picture?
right? Yeah.
Which I
Did you have one of you and your son doing karate?
Yeah. After I took it when I was a kid, when I was his age, I took it, and it was the best thing I'd ever done in my life. I think up until this point in my life.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
And good luck with all of your businesses and all your tasks and your karate.
Thank you.
This episode is brought to you by Adorama TV. Visit the Adorama Learning Center where you'll find photography tips and techniques, links to the gear used in this episode, and related videos. For all the latest photography, video, and computer gear, visit Adorama.com. And the next time you're in New York City, visit our store located on 18th Street between 5th and 6th Avenue.